they are at the moment facing a real crisis. Meghan and Harry's crisis, completely of their own making, is they have no major projects, no major money earners. And so they're more desperate than ever.
Was the fact that his father basically cut him off financially. So really they were in a state where they had to make a lot of money and a lot of money fast. He blundered in a video and said, the Netflix deal was an idea that was pitched to him.
But Harry doesn't want to know any of that truth. That's the trouble with Harry. He just likes, because in his simple way, the paparazzi murdered my mother. Well, it wasn't as simple as that at all.
Stop whatever you're doing for a second, because what Tom Bower just exposed about Meghan Markle's 2026 money problems is the kind of story her PR team definitely doesn't want spreading around. We're talking about reports of $23 million worth of jam sitting unsold in a warehouse, the Archewell Foundation reportedly listed as delinquent by California, and a Netflix show buried way down the rankings at number 1,217 on the platform. And right in the middle of all this is someone who truly believed billionaire status was just around the corner. The wild part? Tom Bower has built a reputation for calling things early, and people say he's been right more than once. Now he's laying out where he believes this whole situation could end up, and it's a lot heavier than most people expect. Stick with this, because the deeper you look, the more complicated the story starts to feel. Here's where a lot of people miss the point. They glance at Harry and Meghan and assume they're still sitting comfortably on endless millions, so they shrug and say, who really cares? But the situation might not be that simple at all. But Tom Bower isn't just talking about money problems here. He's pointing to what he describes as a full system breakdown, something he warned about years ago that now appears to be unfolding in real time.
Well, Meghan herself.
And Meghan herself.
In the months before she met Harry, was setting up.
And the shocking part is that this kind of situation isn't easy to spin, hide, or magically rebrand away once the cracks start showing. Tom Bower spent years digging into the story behind this couple. He spoke with more than 80 people, including former staff members, royal insiders, and even Hollywood executives who saw things up close. The picture that came together is being described as one of the most unusual clashes between huge ambition and tough reality. Think about the scale of it. Here's someone who stepped away from one of the most powerful institutions on the planet, secured a massive Netflix deal reportedly worth around $100 million, launched a lifestyle brand, started a charity foundation, and told the world big change was coming. Now, in 2026, Bower is looking at the situation and laying out documents, claims, and timelines that he says tell a very different story. Let's start with the Archewell Foundation, because Tom Bower says this is where the most revealing part of the whole story shows up. When Harry and Meghan launched Archewell back in 2020, the message sounded powerful and inspiring. They told the world it was a humanitarian mission, named after their son Archie, built around ideas like compassion, service, and real change. That was the public story everyone heard, but Tom Bower presents a very different picture. According to Bower, and based on the foundation's own publicly filed 990 tax documents that anyone can look up, the numbers tell a story that raises serious questions. Here's what the filings reportedly show about the money flowing through the foundation. In 2021, Archewell brought in about $13 million, which marked its highest point financially. That was the same period when major deals were happening, including the big Netflix agreement and other high-profile projects.
The implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archewell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed, and an astonishing double blow for the fake.
For a moment, everything looked strong and well-funded, but the shift afterward is where things start to stand out. By 2024, reported donations had dropped sharply to around $2.1 million, compared to $5.3 million the year before. At the same time, total expenses reportedly reached about $5.1 million. When you line those numbers up side by side, the gap becomes hard to ignore. Spending that appears to be more than double what came in. And here's the detail Tom Bower says raises the biggest questions of all. Out of the $5.1 million in reported expenses, only about $1.25 million reportedly went directly to charitable programs. The remaining money, nearly $4 million, was listed for salaries, security, travel, and other administrative costs. One figure that really stands out is security. which has been reported at around $2 million a year, a huge amount connected to a charitable organization. Tom Bower has been very direct about how he views it. In his analysis, Archewell didn't operate like a traditional large-scale philanthropy. Instead, he argues it functioned more like a financial structure connected to the couple's wider business activity, especially during the period when major media and publishing deals were bringing in large sums of money. That kind of setup isn't unusual by itself, and many wealthy public figures use similar legal structures for taxes and charitable projects. But according to Bower, what makes the Archewell situation stand out is something else entirely. At its peak, the foundation reportedly had only 5 employees, and by the end of 2024, that number had dropped even further, leaving a much smaller operation behind the very public global mission that had once been announced.
Absolutely, but don't even believe that there were 5 options. What you really saw were Harry's and Meghan's fantasy narrative, which they call the truth.
Then things reportedly got even messier. Around 2 or 3 staff members were let go, which meant roughly 60% of the entire team disappeared during what was described as a rebrand. That's a huge shakeup for such a small organization. Some former staff were reportedly told the charity might even be shutting down completely, but later Meghan's team walked that claim back. Then, during the same rebranding phase, the website was quietly taken offline before returning under Archewell Philanthropies. Tom Bower points to this kind of situation as part of a larger pattern.
She is hoping that she's going to become a billionaire off all of this, which again is total insanity. I think the woman's expectations are so unrealistic.
According to his view, when problems surface, the story often shifts, the online presence changes, and a spokesperson steps in with a new explanation. The hope, he suggests, might be that most people aren't watching closely, but plenty of people are paying attention. At one point, the state of California issued a delinquency notice, meaning Archewell had not properly submitted certain required filings at that time. During that period, the organization was temporarily not permitted to raise or spend charitable funds until the paperwork was corrected. For a group presenting itself as a global humanitarian effort, that kind of administrative issue naturally drew serious attention. That's the kind of warning sign Tom Bower says people shouldn't ignore. It's a flashing red light.
Their problem is that they've got no future. I mean, as ever, all her products, of course, is a complete disaster. She's got no Netflix series. She hasn't got any project at all. And they are literally wallowing in a maze where to go. It's and so predictable.
And if Archewell represents what he calls a slow, drawn-out decline, then the situation around As Ever is described as something much louder and more dramatic. Bower says he raised concerns about this from the very beginning. According to his argument, Meghan's commercial approach leaned more on confidence and image than on traditional business strategy. When As Ever launched in April 2024, the headlines exploded everywhere. Reports claimed Meghan's jam sells out in hours, and the PR buzz spread fast across media and social platforms. But critics say the story behind the scenes might not have been quite that simple. Online users reportedly discovered that by placing large quantities of products into the As Ever shopping cart, the system could reveal the available inventory levels, and the numbers people claimed to see quickly started circulating online. Those claims suggested something surprising. According to reports discussed by critics, there could be tens of millions of dollars worth of unsold inventory, including around 137,455 fruit spread gift boxes sitting in storage. If accurate, that would represent roughly $23 million in product waiting in a warehouse, a figure that sparked intense debate online. Now look at the pace of salespeople have been talking about online.
He is officially drying up for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. As more and more news of the dissolution of Archewell Foundation comes forward, it's very, very clear that this restructuring is due to a lack of one very, very key thing, which is money. In fact, Harry and Meghan sold themselves to a dinner table at $100,000 a pop to raise money for Archewell.
In one 24-hour period, only 26 units were reportedly sold. At that speed, clearing the full inventory would take close to 9 years. And that's where the problem gets even bigger, because these products are perishable items with expiration dates. Reports also mention around 44,000 jars of orange marmalade, 62,000 candles, and 80,000 packs of flour sprinkles sitting in storage instead of moving off shelves. Tom Bower offers a blunt explanation for how this situation may have happened. He argues that the original sold-out moment may have been more about marketing optics than massive demand. According to this theory, only a very small batch, possibly a few hundred units, was released at first, just enough to create those explosive headlines. Once the press started repeating the sellout story, the excitement made it seem like demand was enormous. From there, critics say the next step may have been a big gamble, ordering hundreds of thousands of additional products, assuming that curiosity from the public would turn into long-term loyalty. But curiosity and repeat customers are very different things. Some reviewers even compared the taste to Smucker's, just packaged at around $36 a jar, and many buyers reportedly didn't return for a second purchase. As for Netflix, Tom Bower describes the company's current support for as ever as cautious at best. According to his view, the streaming giant wasn't prepared to risk major investment on something that still looked highly experimental. The early sellout story grabbed headlines and fooled plenty of media outlets, but critics say it didn't translate into steady customers coming back again and again. And the phrase Tom Bower uses for what Netflix may be doing with Harry and Meghan right now is one that raises even more eyebrows. The phrase Tom Bower uses to describe their current position is striking: slow ghosting.
Really does. I was shocked, Dan. Like when I first initially saw this post on X about it, I was like, no, there's just no way, because there's so much misinformation out there about Harry and Meghan in some ways. But then I was actually putting the numbers in, and you're getting stock counts. And I'm like, you should never, ever see that on a website. And in case, unless they have like one or two left, they will let you know that. But to have potentially 37,000 fruit spreads sitting out there is astronomically bad. And to move them so slowly, again, this was just anecdotal, is insane. And to think that the website is so poorly constructed that you can see any of this information, again, just proves how poorly managed this business is, how much of a terrible businesswoman Meghan Markle is.
In other words, the massive $100 million Netflix deal that once promised to turn Harry and Meghan into global content creators now appears to have shifted into something far quieter. The momentum people expected simply didn't continue at the same level. For example, with Love, Meghan did not move forward with a third season. Tom Bower even argues there wasn't really a traditional second season at all. According to him, it looked more like one season divided into two parts, rather than a full continuation of the series. Then there are the viewing rankings that critics often bring up. Reports circulated online claiming With Love, Meghan landed around rank 1,217 on Netflix, while a related holiday special was said to be around 1,500th place. Those figures sparked a lot of discussion because the project had enormous visibility, a major production budget, and the promotional power of one of the world's biggest streaming platforms. Tom Bower's interpretation of the outcome is blunt. He argues that the content struggled to connect with audiences because it didn't feel original or deeply personal. In his view, the presentation came across as carefully managed and overly rehearsed, which made it harder for viewers to feel a genuine connection. The concept seemed aimed at building a lifestyle brand similar to figures like Martha Stewart. But critics of the show focused on small moments. That didn't land the way producers may have hoped.
There's been leaked financial details from the Archwell Foundation that's quite fascinating because it shows that there's two donors who've given one of them $15 million and one $3 million.
One example people discussed was scenes of simple food preparation that felt overly staged rather than engaging. Some individuals involved in the production reportedly told Bower that Meghan was extremely focused on how she appeared on camera. According to those accounts, that intense attention to presentation sometimes made it harder for the relaxed, natural tone the show was aiming for to fully come through. Real cooks usually tie their hair back and focus on the food, but critics of the show said Meghan often seemed more concerned with looking camera-ready, like she had stepped out of a magazine cover. The result, according to many viewers, felt less like a relaxed cooking show and more like a carefully staged performance. Tom Bower is blunt about how he believes Netflix executives reacted behind the scenes. In his view, some insiders realized within the first 6 months that the content wasn't pulling the kind of audience numbers they had hoped for. Many viewers initially tuned in expecting bigger storytelling projects, things like deep royal history, major documentaries, or revealing interviews. Instead, what they mostly saw were lighter lifestyle segments focused on things like flower arranging and jam making. According to Bauer, the remaining first-look deal between Netflix and the couple may simply represent a quiet way for the company to step back without making a dramatic public announcement. In entertainment circles, that kind of slow distancing sometimes happens when a partnership loses momentum. While these business questions were playing out in California, Harry was dealing with a completely different storm back in London's courtroom. He testified in a lawsuit involving the Daily Mail, connected to allegations of phone hacking that reportedly occurred between 2001 and 2013, years before Meghan entered his life. During testimony, Harry became emotional and stated, "They've made my wife's life an absolute misery." That moment caught attention because the case focused on events that happened long before the two had even met. Tom Bauer's interpretation is that Harry's public statements often reflect the couple's shared narrative about media treatment. In his telling, Harry frequently frames his experiences through that perspective, which shapes how he speaks about past events. The courtroom itself also became tense at moments. Reports say the judge had to step in 3 separate times to keep the testimony focused and moving forward. At one point during the proceedings, the judge reportedly had to step in 3 separate times to remind Harry to stop arguing with opposing counsel and simply answer the questions being asked. In a formal high court setting, that kind of intervention stands out because the expectation is calm, focused testimony. Seeing a prince repeatedly corrected by the judge created a moment that many observers found surprising. At the same time, Meghan was not present in the courtroom. She remained in California, where she was active online and sharing posts on social media while the case was unfolding overseas.
And I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week, the signal for her great problem.
The contrast caught attention. Harry becoming emotional while speaking on the witness stand about how media coverage had affected his wife while she continued her public-facing online activity from across the Atlantic. Tom Bauer has commented on this dynamic for years. He has often said that Harry ultimately makes his own decisions. But moments like that courtroom scene highlight the complicated public image surrounding the couple. The picture of Harry visibly emotional in a London courthouse while Meghan maintained her digital presence elsewhere became a moment that critics quickly dissected, and not in a flattering way for either of them. Another factor adding pressure is the financial risk tied to the legal battle. If Harry were to lose the case, legal costs could potentially reach tens of millions of pounds. Depending on the final rulings and expenses involved, that possibility adds even more attention to the broader situation surrounding the couple's finances. Tom Bauer has argued for years that their long-term financial outlook depends heavily on maintaining large, successful deals. According to his estimates, the kind of lifestyle they reportedly maintain could require hundreds of millions of dollars in long-term capital to sustain. Harry's personal net worth has often been estimated in the range of $35 to $40 million. That means they are far from broke, but critics argue the challenge is maintaining that level of spending without multiple strong income streams continuing to flow in. Some of those revenue sources have already changed over time. The Spotify partnership ended earlier. Questions have been raised about the future scale of the Netflix relationship. Critics point to the reported $23 million in unsold as ever inventory, and the Archewell Foundation's funding levels have fluctuated. All of those factors together are why Bauer and others say the financial picture is becoming increasingly complicated. At one point, reports circulated that Harry participated in a fundraising event where dinner access was priced at around $100,000 per seat to raise money connected to Archewell. Tom Bauer points to moments like that as revealing. In his view, when public figures begin selling extremely exclusive access just to generate funding, it signals that the brand power they once relied on may be weakening.
What happens in situations like that is that you have to fund the merchandise which has to be at, they figure, well, it might sell 30,000. So you might then say, well, we'll buy in 25,000. So the stock has to be there for when the merchant is merching the merchandise on the television or on Netflix or wherever it's going to.
Bauer also believes Harry's ongoing push for UK taxpayer-funded security carries a deeper strategic angle. Officially, the argument centers around safety and protection while visiting Britain. But Bauer suggests there may also be a political and symbolic element involved, restoring a level of official standing in the UK and potentially reopening a path toward reconciliation with the royal establishment. And that's where the issue of family and finances becomes part of the conversation. According to reports discussed by Bauer, King Charles has remained firm about financial independence, making it clear that Harry is expected to support his own household, even during legal arguments where Harry referenced "my father's grandchildren." Observers say the king has not shifted his position. Bauer's broader warning is that this moment could be a particularly sensitive period for the royal family. His reasoning is simple. When public figures still hold royal connections but have fewer large income streams, the temptation to monetize access, stories, or insider perspectives becomes much stronger. Every speaking engagement, interview, documentary, or potential future book still carries enormous value because it touches on royal life. And critics point out the irony. Much of that attention continues to come from the very institution they once said they wanted to leave behind. Tom Bauer said something years ago that sounds even louder today than when he first said it. You cannot build a lasting brand on victimhood. At first, the public reacts with anger, debate, and endless headlines. But eventually, something more dangerous happens. People stop caring. The outrage fades, the fascination fades, and what's left is simple indifference. And many critics say that's exactly where things seem to stand in 2026. The noise that once surrounded this story has quieted down. The global spotlight that once followed every move is not as intense as it used to be. What people see now are the details being debated online. Reports of over 137,000 jars of fruit spread still sitting in storage. A prince becoming emotional in a London courtroom during a case that didn't directly involve his wife. And a charitable foundation that at one point was listed as delinquent by the state of California due to filing issues. For Tom Bauer, the argument has been the same from the very beginning. He believes the real story isn't written in press releases or headlines. It's written in financial filings, courtroom transcripts, and business results. And critics say those pieces are now forming a picture that looks very different from the original promise. Now, I want to hear what you think. Do you believe Tom Bauer's predictions are playing out, or is there more to this story than critics claim? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned because if Tom Bauer's track record means anything, this story may still have plenty of chapters left.